Hey, welcome to the season finale.
Yes!
Season 2 of What's the Vibe with Kadi and Amy. What did you bring up? Finale vibe?
Oh, my vibe is just exploding with finale vibes.
The thing I'm gonna
My story, I mean.
The thing that I'm gonna tell you about is the thing that I told you was my Roman Empire for a while.
Oh, yes!
So it's pretty fun and pretty wild. So
I put all of my energy the past couple of weeks into the story of Shannon Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
This story that I'm about to tell you, or this vibe, I've had for a little while, piqued my interest, but it is true crime.
Okay.
So the vibe is true crime.
Yeah, it is.
The vibe is safaris.
Ooh. Raised down in Africa. I don't know the song. But
The vibe is also dentists.
Because you don't get enough of that during the week.
I think that's why it piqued my interest.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you about a couple named Larry and Bianca.
Oh, love it.
Larry and Bianca met when they were in college, when he was going to dental school to become a dentist.
Because that's usually the goal.
And she was going to the University of Pittsburgh. Shortly after Bianca graduated from college in the early 80s, they got married.
Oh, okay.
They would go on to have 2 children, Julian and Anna. So, just so you know.
Okay, so you'll edit that out, but I'll describe what the energy he's giving.
Okay.
Rude, know-it-all, arrogant, no respect for other people's time, douchebag.
Yeah, I mean,
douchebag energy.
You pretty much nailed Larry.
Aw, and is Bianca a sweet angel?
Yeah, absolutely she is. Bianca is giving Kadi.
Amy! Oh, actually, we both know that.
Once Larry graduates and becomes a full-time dentist, he would go on to open not 1, but 5 lucrative practices in the Pittsburgh area where they specialize in sedation dentistry.
Oh, wow, you can't get out of Pennsylvania, can you? One of your Shannon was in Pennsylvania?
She was in New York and New Jersey.
Oh, okay, but they started
East Coast.
They started living in Pennsylvania first.
Yeah. Yes. You are correct about that. My next note said, people would say Bianca, so kind, so sweet, and Larry's attitude changes at the drop of a hat. We all know one.
We know one.
Something that I don't like about either one of them, but is what the story is centered on, is they're both big game hunters. They were very well known for it.
Large game, meaning like elephants,
lions.
Okay.
Yep. Larry was the president of Safari Club International and would travel the world hunting. So, one day in 2016, the couple decided that they were going to go on a 10-day big game hunting trip in, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Kafue National Park in Zambia. Because Bianca, her dream was to hunt and capture a leopard.
Oh, capture it.
Like, she wanted to hunt it and then I think bring it home as a trophy.
Alive?
No, it would be dead. It would be like a person having a deer on their...
Okay, gotcha.
In the old Indiana.
I was like, what is she going to do with it?
No.
Pennsylvania.
She just wants it as a prize, which is terrible. Just to get an idea of this national park, it's about the size of, how weird, New Jersey.
Okay.
So it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah,
it's in Africa.
It is in, yes.
Okay.
It's in Zambia. It's in the country that starts with Z in Africa.
Okay.
The game scout who would take them like hunting and around, said that the whole time they were very much infatuated with the other. They were
with
kissing.
each other?
No, with the husband and wife were.
Oh, okay.
Bianca and Larry.
Oh, okay.
They were kissing and hugging and loving on each other and just having the best trip.
Nothing gets your motor running like shooting a leopard.
That's right.
Jeez.
Sadly, after 10 days, Bianca has not gotten a leopard, and the trip is pretty much over, so they've got to get ready to go home. I'm so sorry.
No leopard, no fun. Gotta go home.
Gotta go. So, let me just describe these next events for you.
Okay.
So they go back to their cabin. It's just like a little tiny 1-bedroom, 1-bath cabin that they've been staying in. Larry's in the bathroom, like gathering his things, and Bianca is out in the room packing up all of their stuff, and they're getting ready to go home. Suddenly, shotgun goes off.
Oh.
Weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
Larry rushes out of the bathroom and sees Bianca bleeding on the floor. At the same time, they're outside of the cabin, but nearby is a hunting guide and the game scout that went on hunts with them. Mm-hmm. His name is Spencer. And they hear the sound of the shotgun, so they rush to the cabin.
Oh my gosh.
And when they get there, Bianca is bleeding from her chest. She had been shot directly in the heart and almost immediately died. Spencer said when he got there that Larry was inconsolable. He was just sobbing and screaming, saying things like, "Oh my God, let me kill myself. My wife just committed suicide. Why would she kill herself? What?" He's just distraught.
Your first thought isn't it's an accident?
Right. Then he exits the cabin and starts running around, saying that he is going to go and jump into the river and drown himself because his wife just committed suicide and he can't live without her. Spencer gets Larry calmed down. He gets him back over to the cabin, and they're talking about what has happened and things. And suddenly, Larry's story has changed.
Oh, okay.
The gun must have gone off accidentally when she was packing up things. Like, that's the only thing that makes sense. So Spencer just kind of thought to him, kept a mental note. That's kind of weird. And another mental note he had was, that's strange because how do you accidentally shoot yourself? When I watched you at the end of their hunt, he watched them both unload their weapons, put their ammo away. So he knew the weapon wasn't loaded when they went into the cabin. Spencer and Larry go to the nearest police station 80 miles away.
Like an hour and 45-minute drive.
Right.
On good conditions. I don't know how deep they're in.
Yeah. When they get there, they question Larry for half an hour. Larry tells them the same thing as the second story. He was in the bathroom. Bianca was packing up all of their stuff, and she must have accidentally shot herself. You know what the investigator said? Let me send some guys down to the house and we'll see if that makes sense. So they go, they come back, and they're like, that makes sense, boss.
That checks out.
He's free to go. So he leaves. He obviously doesn't leave the country right away because now he's got to deal with his wife and what's he going to do to get her home. Well, the only thing that would make sense is if he has her cremated immediately. Let's make sure let's just go ahead and get her taken care of.
That way he can just put her in his pocket.
Yeah, you just go along.
Oh my gosh.
And the whole time Spencer's still something's not adding up. How are they going to say that yet? The police say, yes, it is an accident. I don't think I said what type of gun she shot herself with. A shotgun.
Oh yeah, you did say a shotgun, which that would be hard to shoot yourself.
Thank you. That's what he said. How do you have such a long barrel and still be able to shoot yourself.
And then there wasn't like a stick or anything laying by her.
Nothing. So Larry is in Africa still, and slowly he starts like calling and sharing the news that Bianca has passed. Some of her friends hear this, and they're immediately like, "This is suspicious," and they don't even know the whole story.
Oh my gosh.
One friend was immediately thrown off by the fact that Bianca would be cremated because she was very Catholic, and she just thought that she would never. So what did that friend do? She did what an Amy would do.
Oh, okay.
She picked up her phone and dialed FBI South Africa.
Good for her.
And said, "I think something's up with this." That same person would later to go on to share that Larry would on occasion be verbally abusive to Bianca. They often fought over money, and Bianca believed he was having an affair. The only reason Bianca never did anything about it is because she didn't believe in divorce.
She was very, very Catholic.
Very. So it's allegedly to her, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
In the meantime, Larry comes home. He continues to live his life as normal. He's going to work. He's drilling teeth. He's living his life. Because her death was ruled accidental, he would also go on to receive several life insurance checks for Bianca's death. I read that he had like a policy with this company, a policy with this company, this company, this company, and had several, including one in Colorado that I'll come back to. He would also then go on to have his affair. He's just going to have a regular relationship with this woman who was also his office manager and dental hygienist for the past 20 years.
Oh, goodness.
Within weeks, she had moved into their home.
Was she not scared? Like,
literally.
Wow. Over
the course of the next 5 years, the FBI in the U.S. and in South Africa were very quietly investigating her death. They were doing tests on gun drops to see if it would actually accidentally discharge.
Oh.
They would take women of Bianca's size and give them a gun to see.
Is it even possible?
Reenact, yes. No, it would not even be possible. In the meantime, Larry's just living his life. Him and Lori are together. That's his hygienist name. They're traveling. They're going to Mexico on vacations. They're just doing what
they're free and clear now.
Yeah. So that happened in 2016. In December of 2021, the FBI decides that they have enough information to charge Larry with insurance fraud. They said because they have reason to believe her death was not accidental, he should not have received the checks.
Oh, yes.
So, Larry is on vacation in Cabo with Lori when he is arrested by the local authorities for the insurance fraud.
In Mexico?
Yes.
In a Mexican prison?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Lori was just shook. She didn't understand why. She was so confused. It was just baffling to her.
Really, Lori? Come on.
Really.
I think you can put the pieces of the puzzle together.
So they chose one specific insurance company to work with to say he committed this fraud, and it was the one in Colorado. So he was extradited to Denver. In the defense claim, there was no reason for him to have committed insurance fraud because he was already worth over $8 million.
That's what I was wondering.
It took the court 2 weeks to hand down an indictment indicating that they believe he could be held responsible for Bianca's death which in turn would make him guilty of insurance fraud. So now he's going to be charged with both.
Okay. Oh, man.
Not only that, but Lori would also be arrested and face federal charges for providing a false and misleading testimony. They say that the testimony she gave for his grand jury indictment, she lied about their relationship and she just lied.
Oh,
that was
she
just
should
it.
not have done that.
They thought if they put her up on the stand that she would panic and think, I just need to tell the truth to get away from all this. She doesn't. She actually, while she was awaiting court, she was released. She went back to doing the dental practices. He went to jail. And then she was found guilty of being an accessory after the fact to the murder and was sentenced 17 years in prison.
What?
Yes. I read a couple of different articles. One said that she gave him an ultimatum and said, you leave your wife and we can be together or we're not going to be together. And he thought his only way to leave his wife was to kill her.
He could have pushed for a divorce.
Literally. August 1st of 2022, Larry Rudolph, which, let me just tell you something. When you're Googling Larry Rudolph,
yeah,
all I was getting was Britney Spears, so it was so hard to do this. But he was found guilty of murdering his wife, Bianca, and guilty of the mail fraud, ordered to pay $5 million in restitution, which is how much he got for the life insurance, and a fine of $2 million, and also sentenced to life in prison.
Where are those poor kids?
I think their kids are grown.
Oh, they're grown. Okay.
Well, at least I know the son was grown. No, I think they're both grown. Yeah. So we're in the dental field, so that kind of piqued my interest. And then I was like,
I know when you said she went back to work in the dental offices, I was like picturing the gossip. We'd be over the side and be like, can you believe she came back to work?
Well, that's so funny that you say that because apparently everyone in the office knew they were together, even when he was married and Bianca was alive. And I read a couple of the coworkers or previous coworkers say that whenever like she was around or they were around together, it was just like the weirdest tension in the office. Like, can you imagine?
Oh, that's horrible.
Ugh. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting and crazy all at once.
That's nuts. That's, oh, I'm glad they got what they deserve.
Me too. I thought it was kind of, you never hear about the other woman being held responsible and types of things like this.
Well, I even hear on the Chris Watts, Shanann Watts thing, that they think that Nicole, that was his lover, was involved somehow in the murders. But
oh, that story is so sad.
So sad. So sad.
Okay, well, that's all I got for season 2 of What's the Vibe with Katie and Amy. So what is your vibe?
So my vibe is family dynamics.
Okay.
Extreme wealth and privilege. Flamboyance. And I am obsessed with these women, Katie, and I'm going to try to get you on board.
Okay.
If I say Grey Gardens to you, does that mean anything?
I've heard the words before, but no.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you about it.
Tell me.
So I'm going to tell you about 2 women primarily, and they're both named Edith Beale.
They're both named Edith Beale?
They're both named Edith Beale. Isn't it already interesting?
Yes.
So the first Edith Beale was born Edith Ewing Bouvier.
Oh, okay.
And she was born October 5th, 1895.
Dang.
Okay, but look at her. That's her.
Oh,
she's lovely.
She is lovely.
And she's
got a little side eye going on.
Yeah, she does. So she was born to a very rich family.
Okay.
And so she grew up. with servants and just money. And it was such a weird time because they talk about coming out parties or like debutante balls. Okay. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Where you come from this rich family, they dress you all up and then they parade you around in hopes that you'll land a rich husband at this
so wild
debutante ball. I know, it is so weird. So, this Edith Beale, she wanted to pursue a singing career.
Okay.
She loved to sing, and she was arguably talented. Maybe she was talented, maybe she wasn't.
She's giving Amy.
Yes. Yes. This whole thing is giving Amy. You're going to die.
Okay.
So in 1917, Edith Beale, who was Edith Ewing Bouvier,
yes,
married lawyer and financier Phelan Beale. Okay. And Phelan worked at her father's law firm, and it was called Bouvier and Beale. And her father was a very rich judge.
Okay.
And they got married in a very lavish Catholic wedding ceremony in New York. And they lived there in New York, and they had 3 children. The first one was a daughter named Edith.
Okay.
And then they had 2 sons, Phelan Jr. and Bouvier Beale. And so from here on out, I'm going to call them Big Edie and Little Edie.
Okay, yes.
And this is Little Edie.
Okay.
And Little Edie wanted to be a famous actress. She had that gene like her mom. She was a showman, and she loved it. So in 1923, Phelan Beale purchased for his family a mansion in East Hampton called Grey Gardens.
Okay.
And here's a picture of Grey Gardens in that.
Okay.
So, you know, it looks like a modest cottage, but it was expensive to live in the Hamptons.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
And you had to have money to be there. So the kids kind of grow up and they all go their separate ways.
I'm dying.
The sons, one became a successful attorney and the other a successful author.
Oh.
And Little Edie, went off to New York to kind of pursue her dreams. And she lived in a all-women's hotel, like boarding house. And it was, daddy's paying the bills.
Absolutely.
And she's chasing her dreams. And
what's that like?
I know. Everything is just great. They did have like a little debutante, not a little, but they had a debutante ball or whatever for Little Edie too.
Okay.
But Edie she was rebellious. She didn't want to just settle down with a man. She wanted to go to the big city.
Good for her.
And become something. So kind of during this time, Big Edie's husband is just kind of sick of her shenanigans.
Okay.
And by shenanigans, I mean he would be off at work and probably having an affair, let's be honest.
Okay.
But she would have big parties at the Grey Gardens.
Big Edie would?
Big Edie would.
Oh, okay.
And she would sing and dance and put on a show. And Phelan was like, we're in a recession. This is very tacky of you to be like flaunting the money. And, he just got sick of it. So
he said this is tacky.
This is a direct quote. You're so tacky, Big Edie. So he divorced her.
Oh, wow.
He divorced her. And then...
Hope he got a prenup.
Well, to add insult to injury, it was a different time then where men kind of took the property.
I can see that.
Yeah, so he did agree to let her keep Grey Gardens because she loved that house so much. And he sent her a small amount of money. When I say a small amount of money...
Oh, it's probably a big amount to us.
Yeah, it was like $6,000 a month in today's money.
Okay.
So like $300 a month or whatever back then. But it was still just, not enough for her. And that was only child support. So once the kids were really, really grown, he was like, enough.
What do I gotta do to be born into a rich family?
I don't know. Well, just hold on.
Okay.
Maybe I'll tell you. No, just kidding. I don't know how to be born into a rich family.
I mean, I'm already born, so step one.
Step one failed. So he's sick of it. The money's starting to dry up. She's not getting as much money as she used to. So now she has to go back and kind of call Dad and be like, Daddy,
okay,
I need you to help me. Phelan's divorced me. He's not sending me enough money. And so Dad does help for a while.
Oh, okay.
Until one instance when he gets so mad at Big Edie.
I'm sorry, the name Big Edie has me dead.
Oh, it's great. So Big Edie's son, Bouvier Beale, is getting married.
His name is Bouvier?
His name is Bouvier Beale. I think they called him Buddy.
Okay. That's fun though. I like it.
He's getting married. And Big Edie shows up to the wedding late and dressed like an opera star.
She knew what she wanted. She
said, upstage the bride.
That's right.
Well, her dad was like, Big Edie, this is tacky. I'm not a fan of what you've done here, and I'm cutting you off.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So now, here's little Edie off in New York, singing and dancing and doing vaudeville and all this stuff. And she actually catches the attention of a big Hollywood producer out there. Maybe not Hollywood since they're in New York, but a big producer.
Somebody important, big.
When her mom calls and says, hey, I cannot send you money anymore. I don't have any money. And I have nobody here to take care of me. I need you to come home.
Oh.
And little Edie does not want to, but she does.
She's a good daughter.
She's something. So an interesting piece of information about little Edie, about the time she comes home, she has noticed for a while that stressful situations, she'll start losing clumps of hair.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So when she does move home, it eventually all falls out.
Aww.
And we believe today that she had alopecia.
Makes sense.
So she wore these signature scarves all the time.
Okay.
And I'll come back to those later, but it's a very fashion icon moment for her.
Okay.
So little Edie goes home, and for the next 30 some years, just lives at Grey Gardens with her mother. And it's starting to collapse around them. Here's a picture of little Edie in front of Grey Gardens in her signature scarf. Big difference there in the house.
Yeah.
One day, in October of 1971, police raided Grey Gardens because of complaints from the neighbors about the stench and the way that it looked.
So they raided?
Yes. They had put up notices before, like clean up the yard or else, clean up the house or else. Just going up to the door, you can just smell it.
Yeah.
They find the house full of litter, rife with the odor of cats, and in violation of various local ordinances. The Suffolk County, New York Board of Health prepared to evict both Big and little Edie due to unsafe condition of the property.
Weird. I swear that's the same county I was just talking about.
Oh, that is weird. Is it?
I think so.
So, you may not have pieced this together yet, but Big Edie and little Edie have a rather famous relative. Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy Onassis.
Okay, I wondered where I have heard that name before. But to tell you, I watch so much Simpsons, and that's one of the characters, like, maiden last name.
Oh,
so that's
really?
why I was like, that's why I know that name. There's nothing else, but okay.
So, Jackie is first cousins with little Edie. And Big Edie is her aunt. That rich judge, had both of their dads.
Oh, okay.
So Jackie Kennedy hears about her aunt and cousin being potentially evicted from their house.
Right.
And by this point, the president's already passed.
Okay.
And she's married to Aristotle Onassis, who's a billionaire.
Okay.
So she goes to the house and she talks to her cousin and her aunts.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's a lot to absorb.
It is. And she's like, what's going on, guys? And Little Edie has a very interesting way of speaking. You must Google her and watch some stuff. I'm going to tell you about some stuff here that you can watch. But
that isn't the point, Mother darling. Oh yeah, where you got being like that? No husband, no babies, nothing.
I can't help it. I like to wear certain things.
Is that H-Y-E-R?
She likes everything.
H-Y?
Without girdles.
H-Y?
It's like, darling, we cannot have any servants because his father's taking all of the money and the grandfather won't help us. And so Jackie says, okay,
She's like, quit talking like that for one.
Who are you? But she says, I'm going to have some people come in and we're going to get this cleaned up. Okay, there were live raccoons living in the walls.
Well, at first I thought you were going to say it was like a Bates Motel situation and Big Edie was dead inside.
No.
Okay.
No. They had so many cats in there, and not just living cats.
Aww.
Dead cats everywhere. The walls, the floor, the furniture had all just been soaked in cat urine. How did these two rich bitches let their house fall into... I understand, like, if you can't get a new roof or you can't upkeep something, but the garbage and the animals.
Yeah.
They had just lost control of this house.
Yeah. That sounds like.
So Jackie pays and a crew comes in and they get it livable.
Okay.
Okay, like she doesn't give them a glam style. Like,
she's not getting back to where they used to be. Yeah.
Right. Because she's like probably thinking they're not going to take care of it anyway.
Right.
So let me just get this dead animals out of here. Right. This isn't it. And also, it's hitting the papers.
Right.
Jacqueline's aunt and cousin living in filth, being evicted from their home.
Right.
So they go in and they clean it all up. Then a few years later, Lee, who is Jackie's sister, who she's a character all on her own, but she had married like into royalty and she was considered the beautiful sister.
Oh my God.
And, Jackie and her had this rivalry going. So Lee decides she wants to have a documentary made about her life.
As one does.
As one does. Mine's coming out next fall. Stay tuned. And so she hires these documentarians to come. And
I'm sorry, documentarian. Is that a word? I don't know.
It is now.
But I love it.
So the documentarians come. And as part of, seeing Lee's life growing up, meeting her family, seeing her childhood home, they want to see Grey Gardens, where she went as a child and spent time with her aunt and her cousin. So the documentarians, I'm not going to stop, go there. And they meet Big Edie and Little Edie.
Oh.
And Katie, they scrap the original documentary on Lee. And they go to Little Edie.
We're like, this story's about you.
There's more of a story here.
Right.
Would you guys be willing to let us do that? And she's like, well, not that interesting, darling.
She wanted to be a movie star anyway.
And she's like, I'll ask Mother. And they agree to do it.
Oh, I bet their cousin was pissed.
It doesn't really go into it, but I can't believe she'd be too happy. So here's a picture of the documentarians.
Okay.
Their brothers with Little Edie and Big Edie. And by the time they get back there to start filming the documentary, got stuck. The documentary, the house is again not in great shape. It's not as bad as it was. There's no dead animals everywhere, but there are a bunch of cats in there. They're feeding raccoons. There's trash everywhere. And because the heat's been cut off and there's no running water in the house, they have moved 2 twin beds into one room.
Oh my goodness.
Where they live together. And Kadi, I cannot do justice to this dynamic between this mother and daughter. It is so toxic, but so codependent at the same time. Like, Big Edie will say things like, I had 3 kids and my sons, they were perfect. But Edie, I couldn't get her to listen to nothing. She was a fright from the start, like just bashing her.
Like, the one who just shut her life down
to come and take care of mother. And the entertainment value, the original Grey Gardens documentary, I found a little hard to watch because it's like talking to.
Is it really old?
It's really old. It's from the 70s, but it's also they're just so random. Either one of them will bust into song and dance at any moment. I know. I'll make a good talk. The mom sings Tea for Two in bed one day. Does the whole thing. She does a whole patriotic dance skit. And then she says, one day she's out in the field and she's wearing, first of all, those headscarves I told you about. A lot of times she would just take a sweatshirt and put it on backwards and tie it around back here and then put a brooch on top.
Oh, interesting.
And then she was like, I believe this is the best costume of the day. What you need to wear is you need to wear pantyhose and then pants and then a skirt. And your skirt can double as a cape. They have just lost it. And so I watched the documentary. Then I found out via TikTok that they made a movie and it's on HBO Max. Do you have HBO
Yes,
Max?
I do.
Okay, and it's called Grey Gardens, and it stars Drew Barrymore.
Shut up!
No,
I love Drew Barrymore
as Little Edie and Big Edie. Oh my gosh, she's another great actress. She's in American Horror Stories.
Sarah Paulson?
No. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna Google it really quick because it's so great.
I hope you don't say Kathy Bates.
No.
I can't even think of who else is in. Is it the redhead?
Oh my gosh. Almost got it. Jessica Lange.
Oh, okay.
She plays Big Edie.
Oh, I love her too.
And Drew Barrymore plays Little Edie. And having watched the original documentary and the movie, Drew Barrymore does Little Edie perfect.
Really?
The way she talks.
Did you watch the movie?
Yes, I watched the movie.
Did you?
Maggie's husband logged into it on my TV, so I can watch it. But it is so the documentary comes out. It's released, and people go wild over this original documentary. And Little Edie even goes to the premiere, and then shortly after that, Big Edie does die.
Okay.
Little Edie doesn't move out of the house immediately. She does travel back and forth to New York. It starts a cabaret act.
What?
Yeah. Oh, you've got to watch this movie. And then she does eventually sell Grey Gardens because her mom never would. Even with the lights off, no running water.
She'd rather just live there.
A raccoon chewing on your toes at night. She was not letting go of this house.
I was like all she had left for money.
Yes. And her sons were constantly trying to talk her into selling it and just move to Florida. We're telling her, like, this is too much for you. And she just would not do it. Little Edie does sell it on one condition, that the new owner cannot tear it down.
Okay.
So the new owner says, okay, Little Edie, you have a deal. But on one condition, you either have this place spotless or you leave everything.
Okay.
And so she said, okay, I'll leave everything.
I knew she was going to choose to leave everything.
She can't clean. She doesn't want to clean. She wouldn't even sweep up the floor. There was scenes in the documentary where they were like having a little party for Big Edie's birthday. And there was nowhere for people to even sit down. They had to put newspapers down.
Oh, man.
So you just have to get into this. It's so
You were really obsessed with this in the 90s?
I couldn't understand how these two women were so eccentric and so unusual and so beautiful at the same time.
How were you
dirty? And so it was just weird to me.
Okay. HBO Max, I'm going to watch it this weekend.
So that's all I got for the season finale. Check out Drew Barrymore on HBO Max in Grey Gardens. Mother darling.
Okay, Ashley Todd? Oh, I can't wait. How old is she? Like Drew Barrymore in the movie. Like, does she play a child or does she play?
She plays like 30-year-old.
Oh, okay. So she's
Edie.
grown.
Yeah, grown Edie.
Okay. I just needed a little bit of an idea. Wow, that's really good. I'm excited.
It's a good one. That's a good one.
Well, I think that concludes another episode and another season of What's the Vibe with Kadi and Amy. We will be back early January, so keep an eye out on social media. I'm sure there'll be plenty of postings as to when the new season is coming. But thanks so much for sticking around, tuning in.